everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Harley on the headlines today. As we get started, please hit the like, subscribe, follow button, drop us a line. It'll help let other people know about the show. Thanks again. We are not alone. You've heard that declaration. It tends to be used to indicate that not all life on Earth is earthly or from Earth, a way of saying softly that E.T. is here. Everyone wants to know just how not alone we are. The governments of the world seem to firmly believe that we are not really ready for the answer. And if you're paying attention, then you realize that we are living in the midst of a propaganda program designed to bring us all to the point of being ready for the answer. The reality is probably as unreal as our imaginations can take us. Saying that makes the whole thing sound like cinematic bullshit, except for just one thing. It is apparent that there are real, tangible phenomena being studied and that the shades are slowly being raised for us. The latest little tidbit is USOs, not the great organization that puts on entertainment shows for our troops in foreign places, but unidentifiable, submersible objects. Videos of lights moving underwater at speeds that once again are way beyond our best military technologies. Videos of UFOs that crash into the ocean without splashing the water. Not slipping daintily into the water either, doing it at speed without splashing, as though drawing water that would otherwise splash down with it. Stories of surface ships that can follow submarines, whales, and every kind of school of fish that cannot track these things. Several people have come forward at supposedly great risk to themselves to talk to UFO experts about their personal experiences, talking about former government people from the military, from intelligence communities who say they have touched alien spacecraft, helped work on trying to understand the technology, how to reverse engineer it, and talk to alien beings, seen, studied, at least one or more that communicate telepathically with scientists, teaching them. It sounds so incredible that we treat these claims and reports like fascinating TV shows, fodder for podcasts. We shake our heads and go get another burger with fries. As soon as we pause to consider the simple subject of speed and distance and time, we bump right into incredulity. If we are not alone, and if these beings and their space and watercraft are real and physical, the ultimate question is, how did they get here? We cannot travel as fast as light. To do that, matter must become light, which is to say, energy. While it is true that at the quantum level we are all energy beings, reducing our cells of blood, brain, bone, and flesh to energy and then reconstituting it correctly when we slow down is still a Gene Roddenberry Star Trek fantasy. And even the Beam Me Up machine had relatively short distance limitations. It'll take Elon Musk's rocket ships about 3 months to travel to Mars. Now, that's the planet right next door. It's the one with the short grass yard and the picket fence to lean on. It's, comparatively speaking, closer than arm's length from us, and doing it is still way, way, way over our heads. The nearest next star beyond our sun is about 5 light years away. Light year is a number that's hard to understand. Light, that speed we cannot yet dream of approaching, travels at 186,000 miles per second. Now that's 7.5 times around the Earth in one tick-tock. 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 Light traveling that fast for 5 years to get to us from the nearest star. And the nearest stars that our best telescopes can see that might support life like ours are hundreds, maybe thousands of light years from here. And that's just working with our little section of the Milky Way. In one of the outer bands of the spiral of stars, billions of them in this galaxy. Traveling anywhere at human speeds is expressed in terms of generations, hundreds of generations of traveling humans. Some of you are thinking wormholes. I get that. a wormhole, a wrinkle in time, like folding space, like paper, and flying through the layers instead of along the surface. Cool idea. But to make it work in a practical way, we have to be able to create any wormhole we might need so that we can aim it precisely so as to arrive in the right spatial neighborhood. Suppose we could do that. When we arrive, we would surely want to send a message home that, hey, Mom, we made it. Now, here's the problem. Unless we can make stable wormholes that allow those messages to travel the distances very quickly, civilizations will come and go before the message arrives back on Earth. We're not talking about years, we're talking about a whole lot of years. So if we can find evidence that ETs are visiting here from some distant place, that so far at least appears to be benign, maybe even beneficial to humans, we might be just as well off using our telescopes to find wormholes. Not Roddenberry, Lucas, Asimov theories of them, but actual stable wormholes that might be used for ET transport. I do spend time meandering through mental corridors with thoughts like that, and it's weirding me out at the moment because it is so far outside our expertise, and because the things that have been in our skies and presumably our oceans for decades got here somehow, maybe still come here somehow. You know, there are stories in the Bible of flying machines. There are drawings in caves of flying machines. There are stories, since stories began, that our ancestors came from the sky. And since primitive people in every other occasion drew what they saw, the evidence says E.T. has been here for a while. Our religions teach that this world is not our home. Why is that? Why is heaven up there, out there, somewhere? And what is going to be harder for us to accept, that E.T. is visiting us or that E.T. is us, that we are the product of space travelers who came here, seeded our rapid and recent development, and are still here, soon enough to peel back the curtain and rock our world? It could explain a lot. It would absolutely change everything. Everything. Meanwhile, we argue about political games and whether or not to hurt ourselves by keeping the government shut down. Wow. We have some truly stupid, power-hungry people with jobs we gave them in Washington, D.C. Now, that all seems like more than just Harley on the headline, that hundreds of unidentifiable submersible objects have been sighted, recorded in recent times, isn't it? Fact is, that long story is full of individual little headlines that have tickled our fancy and our cultures since before we could write things down. It makes most everything that we spend time worrying about seem actually pretty tiny. About that government shutdown, the air traffic control situation is getting worse, not going to improve until money flows. Thousands of flight delays and climbing. Now, it's happening because we started out with a shortage of controllers, and then we tell them they are essential workers, and they are. But closing in on 30 days on, and they're having to choose between food on the table and doing something else temporarily to make a little money. The ripples will multiply and spread, and all it will take is a yes vote by Democrats in Washington, and the government can reopen. They couldn't go back to trying to do their jobs. The prediction is it'll happen next week, if not by the weekend. I could be wrong. It really just depends on how much pain the Democrats are willing to inflict on the vulnerable. Hurricane Melissa may be the worst ever. It's Category 5 and barreling toward Jamaica, then Cuba, then the Bahamas. She's not coming to the U.S. mainland. As Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness put it, there is no infrastructure in the region that can withstand a Category 5. The question now is speed of recovery. That's about it. Republicans on Capitol Hill have begun to peel back the onion layers of Joe Biden's decline. Was he so far diminished that other people actually ran his administration? Someone or ones else ran the auto pen that produced his signature on a raft of documents and orders, that those unseen and unelected people made decisions that Joe might never have made on his own, who helped push the government farther and farther left than ever before and helped give the communist socialist movement a foothold it could never have otherwise. A report from the House Oversight Committee points to a haphazard documentation process for pardons, one example, that leaves doubt whether Biden actually made the decisions. The committee is handing its findings over to the Department of Justice for investigation, and with former members of Biden's inner circle refusing to talk, it only leads to suspicion. One heck of a World Series so far. Game 3, Los Angeles Dodgers 6, Toronto Blue Jays 5, 18 innings. Great baseball. Superb shutdown relief pitching by both teams for 10 innings. Shohei Ohtani hit 2 homers, got on base 9 times in the game. Best player in baseball? No real debate about that, and he's pitching tonight. As a lifelong Yankees fan, there isn't a whole lot for me in this series, but hey, this has been some great baseball by both teams. So I guess that'll do it for today's Harley on the Headlines. Here's hoping you get something good from these little visits. Please help spread the word with a quick touch on the like, follow, or subscribe buttons. And thank you in advance for that. I'm Harley Carnes. We'll see you soon.